Hello, this is Kat, and we are doing the first Raythe podcast. Say hello, Raythe.
Hello, everybody.
And today we're going to talk about sextras. While there's plenty of sex and romance in Raythe's normal stories, what is a sextra and what makes it different?
Well, sextras are content that members want that we can't sell anywhere else, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple. They are the explicit manga, such as Dream and Date Night, or certain kinks in like some of the serials, such as incest in The Fell or Valkyrie. All of this is against the third-party seller's terms of service. But since we make our own terms of service, Raythe, we can sell whatever we want.
I actually wasn't there for the earliest days of Raythe, and I've always wondered, did you ever imagine that you'd be such a force for freedom of fiction?
I wouldn't have thought about it like that, but I knew from the get-go that the things I wanted to write, no one else was going to publish. But I had this belief that there were readers out there who would want to read it with me. So in the first lineup of stories on Raythe was a story called The Earl King. And guess what, folks? It had father times son incest. So I guess in a way, I was really going for that freedom of speech from the get-go.
What about forbidden?
Now, one of the things that Kat asked me earlier was whether the success of that particular fanfic made me feel like Raythe was a viable thing to do. And while, Forbidden is the granddaddy of all Luke Time Vader fanfics, it certainly isn't as popular as Draco or Harry from, Harry Potter or anything like that. But I think it showed me that well-written stuff, even on forbidden topics, had really invested readers. And so, I still get stuff to this day on Forbidden. Still request to keep writing it.
When publishers open up their doors to say anything goes content, it's like they're afraid they're going to get flooded with fetishes. But the membership is not the case. You have this sex and you have the story. They're real stories. They're not just like porn or kink.
In fact, the story aspect of the serials, and in fact, the newest sextra called The Werewolf Next Door, has lengthened what I originally thought was going to be a 30-page sextra, maybe into a 60-page story plus explicit sex. Story makes things hot. You can make a simple brush of hands far more sexual than you can showing someone thrusting into another's body. So story is hugely important to me.
Has gone mainstream. If you look at Cursed, it just shot up the charts without us having to do anything. So doesn't that prove that has arrived, it's in there with the romance, and it's no big deal?
There hasn't honestly come a day when I don't think to myself, is Amazon going to change its terms of service on what's acceptable and what is not? And they have done this in the past. They will do it in the future. Twitter just recently got rid of the word bisexual. Suddenly, oh yes,
what?
Bisexual and gay were suddenly always being basically confounded with the word porn. And therefore, if you did searches for that, you couldn't find it. This is an issue even though you think to yourself, well, geez, I can find all this stuff on Amazon. But it's the stuff that you can't find, which is actually the problem there. iManga with sex, explicit sex. We don't do that in the dark earth because we can't sell it, like I said, on Amazon. But if you think that your choices haven't been curtailed by Amazon and Apple and Barnes & Noble, unfortunately, they have been big time. If I were a normal author where I was just selling on third-party sellers like Amazon, I absolutely could not do stories like The Fell or Valkyrie because remember, can't be sold there. I couldn't do explicit iManga. Remember, can't be sold there. And no matter how many people would want them or would buy them, it's irrelevant because Amazon simply would not allow it on its storefront. So the membership, simply put, gives us the ability to create these pieces of art and these books because we know we're actually going to be able to sell them to people and we have enough products that we can draw traffic in and it makes sense financially.
The membership is actually our own piece of the internet, our own audience that has developed around this, which opens up a whole ton of possibilities.
We also want to really serve our members and not care about whether something has additional value elsewhere. And we're getting to that point because, for example, The Werewolf Next Door will only be able to be sold on our site And it will be, free for members as it goes forward. But we're doing something that, quite frankly, we couldn't have done 7 years ago when we started out. Maybe we couldn't have even done it, 3 years ago. But we can today as we grow. So I really want to thank you guys for that.
And tune in next podcast, whoever knows when that will be. I don't know.
Well,
It depends how this one goes. Yeah.
We do one a quarter.
One per quarter. That seems about right for us. All right.
That sounds sort of realistic for.
Tune in February where we'll talk about something else. Oh, yeah, we can't publish that. We're not going to say that on the podcast. You'll find out when we do something in February.